Hi, welcome to my channel, Mo Moon Tarot. My name is Mo, and today I'm doing my Beltane Celebration video. Beltane is one of the celebrations on the Wheel of the Year. It's one of the 8 Sabbats on the Wheel of the Year that pagans celebrate. And I feeling really zoned in today, feeling really grounded. I'm really feeling like it's probably because Venus just went into Taurus, and so things that we love to do are feeling a little bit more grounded. So that's kind of how I'm feeling today, where I really wanted to make this video for you, and yet it just feels so like, I just feel so grounded. I feel so like at peace and at ease, and just like I said, really centered, really focused, and really at peace. And it's a rainy day here. It rained all day yesterday, and it's raining again today. The sun's not shining very much, but that's okay. It's good for the plants. It's good for the trees. The leaves are coming out on the trees, and yeah, new life is all around us. I planted some seeds to make a fairy garden, and yeah, Wendy Bones inspired me to make a fairy garden, so I planted some seeds, and when they start to grow, I'm going to add my fairy garden trinkets that I bought and that I collected. Some walnut shells, some crystals, some statuettes. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. But this is my Beltane celebration video, and like I said, Beltane is one of the 8 Sabbats on the Wheel of the Year. And if you're not familiar with the Wheel of the Year, the Wheel of the Year is, like I said, a celebration that pagans take part in, but anybody can celebrate the Sabbats on the Wheel of the Year, because it's just really celebrating the change of Mother Earth and the nature around us, and acknowledging those changes, and changing ourselves with these seasons. So I have 2 books today. The first book is called Luland's 2021 Sabbats Almanac. It's by Luland, the publisher is Luland. So I'm going to read a little bit from this book. And I also have my Celtic Tree Rituals book by Charlene Hidalgo, the one that I usually read from for my Sabbat videos. And I'm going to do a tarot pull, and I'm also going to bring you with me while I switch up my altar to celebrate Beltane. Beltane is celebrated on May 1st, and that is in the northern hemisphere where I live. It's May 1st, but in the southern hemisphere, they're celebrating Samhain. So Samhain is like Halloween, and the veil between the worlds is very thin during Samhain, and because Beltane is opposite Samhain on the Wheel of the Year, the veil is also very thin for us here celebrating Beltane. So when I say the veil is thin, I mean that we can tap into our intuition a lot more. We can tap into the ethereal. We could tap into the energy of our ancestors and the other worlds. So it's really exciting. So come with me in this journey of my Beltane celebration. This is the last Sabbat video that I'm probably going to make, because I did all the other Sabbats, and this is the final Sabbat that I'm celebrating with you here on YouTube. So I'm going to read from this Sabbat's Almanac Sabbat's Almanac book on this video. Beltane, Rekindle Your Spiritual Fire by Carrie Connor. Ah, Beltane, the time of year when spring is giving birth to summer. Our plans and goals have turned from the inward to the outward and burst forth into the light. Life, love, and lust fill the air. We are renewed and rejuvenated as we rekindle our fires within. We complete our spring cleaning. We pull back the curtains, throw open the windows, and let the fresh air in to cleanse away the old, both inward and outward. We feel alive and share in the joy of life erupting all around us. We often take these little miracles for granted, the daily miracles of life, joy, beauty, and peace. Being pagan, if you are, however, we should be incorporating these aspects of our spirituality into our daily lives. We get busy, we get distracted, and we end up cutting ourselves off from our own spiritual self without realizing it. Our connection to the natural world is paramount. Even if you live in a densely populated city, you can still feel and celebrate this connection. When concrete is under your feet, turn your face to the warmth of the sun. Feel the breeze on your skin. Nature is all around us. Even when we hide from it or ignore it, it is always there. One thing I realized about my spirituality over the years was that I was often keeping it a separate part of myself. Definitely not hidden, but also certainly not integrated on a daily basis. Yes, there were normal, everyday moments when I would feel a sudden strong connection to my spiritual self, but there were seldom occurrences outside of ritual. I love those moments. I cherish those moments. I missed those moments that were so few and far between. I finally realized I could have those moments as often as I wanted. I simply had to choose to have them. Why hadn't anyone ever shared this nugget of knowledge with me before? I was brought up in a Christian church. For years as a child, my understanding of a higher power was only the Christian God, an authoritative figure, father figure, that she needed an intermediary, such as a reverend, to speak with on Sundays. As a child and in my limited experience, I can remember thinking pastors, reverends, and priests were all lawyers in front of God, God being the ultimate judge. Being in church felt like being in a courtroom. There was no such thing as a personal, close relationship with God. It was all very formal. We had to put on our Sundays best for services. We had to sit still. We couldn't fidget. We had to stay awake. It should have been no surprise to my family that the little girl in pigtails who loved to walk barefoot through the acres of dandelions would end up finding herself and her spirituality out there in the wild, and not on a hard wooden pew where she wasn't allowed to feel the grass under her feet or the wind in her hair or the sun on her skin. My parents gave birth to a child of the earth and had no clue. It was years before I fully understood what an intimate relationship with deity could be like. It was several more years before I realized I could have that relationship as a daily open part of my life and not centered around rituals only. My spirituality did not have to be a Sunday thing. I could choose to integrate my spirituality, my connection to both deity and nature, with the rest of my life as much as I wanted to. So I did. The peace and joy it brought it was truly divine. My eyes opened to many things I hadn't even realized they were closed to. Integrating your spirituality into your daily life, a true full integration, involves letting go of that which you cannot control and shifting your view to find the positive in those situations that leave you feeling down, betrayed, or harmed. This isn't to say forgive and forget. It is to say control what your response is. Choose what road you take. Choose the obstacles you can avoid. Life is not a race. It is an experience. Beltane is the perfect time to renew a commitment to your spiritual self, to rekindle your spiritual fire, and to recognize and honor your spiritual self in your daily activities. It is a time of cleansing both physically and spiritually. It's a time for growth. It is a time of celebrating new life, whether the new life is your own or the leaves on the trees that uphold their promise of abundance. As the plants and trees convert energy from a combination of air, water, fire, sun, and earth into growth, so must we. We too must grow by harnessing our own energy and then sending it where we need it to go. One of the customs often associated with Beltane is that of the Maypool. While the Maypole is often thought of as a phallic symbol of fertility, it is also a symbol of abundance and energy. The Maypole originated as a dance performed around fruit trees to instill them with magical energy and blessings, boosting their production and giving a more abundant yield. Look at the energy put into performing a Maypole dance. It is easy to see and feel the energy build as dancers get set in a rhythm and find their colors weaving into patterns, pushing harder and rushing faster as they go until they reach the climatic end and release their own energy into the universe, often rolling in the grass afterwards, both out of need to ground and pure exhaustion. This building and release of energy can obviously be done when working with a group, but the pole is only a symbol. The dance is what brings the true energy. The energy from dance can be built, used, and released anywhere you want. It can be done inside or outside, day or night, in private, in the open, anywhere you feel comfortable, but that doesn't involve illegal trespassing or some type of insane danger. You can dance. Dance is not only physical and energy raising, it can be extremely spiritual, an extremely spiritual experience if you allow it to be. The key is to literally dance like no one is watching. Let down your guard and your inhibitions and just dance. Dancing is known to release endorphins, which often allows the dancer to experience a cathartic release of stress and other negative emotions. At the same time, the dancer builds energy to send toward a positive intention. Dancing releases serotonin and norepinephrine. Not only does this make you feel good, it allows you to open yourself more fully to spiritual experiences. These are just some of the reasons dancing has been a historical aspect of many spiritual practices. Once I decided to start using freeform dance as a part of my daily exercise, I was quickly reminded of this spiritual connection I had felt years earlier when I was learning to belly dance. I used to love to dance, but I put it aside as something I was too busy for. Now it is something I make time for daily due to a massive priority shift. That new shift puts my health and spirituality above things like TV time. Dancing outdoors in particular allows you to form a universal connection to the natural environment around you. In the warmer months of northern Illinois, my dancing takes place either on my deck or in a spiritual labyrinth I built on my property. But when it's cold, my dancing takes place inside. Dancing indoors just doesn't have the same connection as outdoors does. Nothing compares to nature, but you can still dance up an emotional release and build energy to send into the universe. Another important aspect to discuss is what you will dance to. Obviously, unless you have your own drum troupe to follow you around, you will most likely need some sort of an electric device to play music for you. Whether it's MP3s, CDs, or some streaming app, you will need only the device, but you will need not only the device, but the actual music. I have several playlist stores that I use. I use services like Pandora and Amazon Music to discover new and fitting songs and then add them to the appropriate playlist. Build your playlist up, making them as generic or as specific as you want. Also keep in mind the order of your songs in your playlist. Some of my playlists have songs in a very specific order. I start with slower songs, then move into faster and faster ones to allow my movements to increase with the music. In order to create a building of energy, you need the music to match. You may want to include 1 or 2 last cool down songs for after you release, but that's completely your own personal preference. What if you don't know how to dance? You do. It's that simple. Your body knows how to dance, you simply have to allow it. You don't need to take lessons or know fancy steps. All you need to do to learn to let go and allow your body to go where it wants, to move how it feels. Feel the music, don't just listen to it. Remember the old saying from earlier, dance like no one is watching. Because no one is. Your dance is what you need to do. Do what feels good and avoid what doesn't. Try different steps. Use your hands and arms. They are great for building energy. You have hips. Shake them, twist them, let them gyrate. Your dancing is for you, your deity, your connection with nature. It is an expression of yourself, no fear necessary. If you aren't used to dancing, it might take some getting used to, both physically and mentally. You may be moving muscles you haven't quite for some time. Work up to it. Don't wear yourself out. Don't hurt yourself. When I first started dancing again, I could barely make it through a few songs, and I would be covered in sweat and out of breath. Now I sometimes go for a couple hours at a time. Know what your limits are and use that to set up how many songs you will need on your playlist. I highly recommend working yourself up to a minimum of 20 minutes, including a song or two for cooling and winding down. Once you build more stamina, you can create your playlist to reflect several waves of building, climax, cool down, and then continuing the cycle back towards release. You can incorporate dance into your spiritual life as much or as little as you want, but I do highly encourage you to make it a permanent part. It is truly an exercise of the mind and spirit along with the body. So that was in the Sabbats Almanac for Beltane. And at Beltane, in the Celtic countries, they build a bonfire and they dance around the bonfire. So dancing is a very big part of Beltane, especially the spiritual Sabbat of Beltane. And there is also a Maypool that they use, and it symbolizes like a phallus, it's like a phallic symbol, but to symbolize fertility and new life. And abundance, and they dance around the Maypool, weaving ribbons around the Maypool as they're dancing. And so the reason why this book is suggesting dancing as a spiritual ritual during Beltane is because of the fact that dancing is spiritual, and that you can have that build up to a certain climax and that release through your dance. And so I thought that was really interesting, and I was thinking that maybe I would want to dance on the video for you, but I don't want to use music that will cause me to be banned or have to remove the video. So unfortunately I won't be able to do that for you, but I might do that for myself later on today, or maybe even on May 1st when we celebrate Beltane. And I would like to make it part of my daily practices to dance, because I do remember about a year ago, I did do some serious dancing in my place here, and it was really cathartic. It was really spiritual. It was a beautiful situation. I just felt really, really good. And so I just wanted to read you that from the Sabbats Almanac. I know that I read it for a long time, but I hope that that wasn't too much for you. Hi all, so this is what my Ostara altar looks like, and I'm going to switch it up to a Beltane altar. So yeah, let's say goodbye to this old setup, and we're going to welcome in the new Beltane altar for the celebration that will take place on May 1st. So this is what I have in my basket for my Beltane altar. You see there aren't very many things in here, but it will be a pretty altar nonetheless. So I'm in the middle of removing everything from my altar, but I just wanted to show you this beautiful stream outside. I don't know if you can see the stream. We have such a beautiful backyard with the stream. It's hard to see with the screen, but it's a beautiful stream. So I've created my own little altar space next to my bed. I sit on the floor here, and my own little witchy space. So I'm going to continue to take stuff off of my altar. So as you can see, I'm using a bedside table as my altar. I've taken everything off of it, and now I'm going to clean it with some soap and water and vacuum any debris that might have fallen behind the table, and clean up all my stuff here that I have with my soap and water, and we'll get that all done. So I have this moon water, full and new moon water. I charged it under the full moon and I charged it under the new moon. And I put the full moon water into this old Calgon spray bottle that I have. And I'm going to bless my altar by spraying it with this full and new moon water. Abundance, magic, new life, rebirth, regeneration, energy. And so now that it's sprayed, I'm going to just wipe down my altar space with that moon water, that full and new moon water. I wanted to do some scrying for Beltane because I'm cleaning up my stuff and I have my crystal ball on my altar, so I wanted to do some Beltane scrying, but I feel like I'm so just like fired up right now that I don't really have the focus to be able to read from a crystal ball, but super like love my crystal ball. If you don't have a crystal ball, I would recommend getting one. Crystal balls allow you to see things that you wouldn't normally see without it. And it's a form of scrying. So even if you just have like a candle and you look into the flame and you see like things in the flame, that's still another form of scrying. So if a crystal ball is too much out of your budget or out of your price range, just pick up a candle and scry in the flame. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about scrying in flames and scrying in general. So yeah, I just thought I'd say that. So girls and guys, this is how it's starting out. I put a green cloth on the altar because Beltane is about, trees, leaves growing on the trees, flowers bursting through the soil, animals coming out of their hiding, love, spring feelings. And I just felt like green was a perfect color for the cloth on my altar for Beltane. And yeah, I think that that's the perfect color. And as you see, I have a pentacle that I made out of sticks, and I just bought some fake flowers from the dollar store, and I stuck the sticks together to make a pentacle, and then I stuck all the flowers on with a hot glue gun. So this is what my finished Beltane altar looks like. I chose green candles again for the abundance, the fertility. I chose red for the fire, since Beltane is a fire festival where some people light big bonfires and dance around the fires. Beltane is really about a celebration of life returning, and it's also a celebration of the passion that we have for our loved ones or for our romantic partners sexually, as well as just platonic love. So that's why I put green candles and the red one for the fire. And I put my fairies back on the altar because fairies encourage the nature to grow. And if you have a flourishing garden, it's probably because you have fairies blessing your garden. So that's why I put my fairies back on the altar. And I put my 10 of Pentacles card there, which symbolizes a happy life. And I have my bedside lamp on my table because this is my bedside table. Of course, I've put back all my deities, and I'm starting to collect outdoor pieces of wood and snail shells again, and rocks for my deities, because I like to collect all kinds of goodies outdoors. I collect feathers for the Morrigan and snail shells for Ceridwen. I collect wood pieces for Cernunnos. For Hecate, she likes garlic and all things of the underworld. Danu is really eclectic. She really likes all kinds of gifts. I haven't gotten her anything yet. this season. And Baphomet is really in love with rocks as far as I can see, because every time I get a rock, it usually goes to Baphomet, as you see here. So that's just what they personally like from me. Aphrodite is symbolized by this couple that is in a loving embrace. I haven't got the actual Aphrodite statue, but because Aphrodite is a goddess of love, I've put a loving couple there to symbolize Aphrodite. So, and of course, I think, like I said, Saradwin, she likes the snail shells, and I got her a seashell as well. And I have a rock here that I picked up a year ago before I even knew I was a witch, and I channeled all my energy into the rock when I was angry. So it's right there in between the two green candles. And I've created a love spell bottle and another bottle over here for guidance, tiny bottles. So that's what my finished Beltane altar looks like. I hope you like the way it looks. Let me know in the comments down below, or leave this video a thumbs up if you like how it turned out. All right, so that was the celebration video for Beltane. Of course, it's not over. What would a celebration video be without a Beltane celebration be without a tarot reading? So I'm going to use my Crystal Visions Tarot. We're going to do a collective reading for Beltane. So this is the Crystal Visions Tarot. And because, you know, I was talking about fairies being the beings that bless your garden and multiply your crops and allow your flowers to be bounteous and beautiful. Of course, these kind of look like fairies on the Crystal Vision cards. So I decided I would use the Crystal Visions Tarot. And I'm doing a collective reading for Beltane. So it's a 3-card reading. It's not too long. And the first card is representing the seed. The second card represents the flame, and the third card represents bloom. And I found this tarot spread layout on the internet. I just looked up Beltane tarot spread. And the first card with the seed represents what we're ready to grow and manifest. The second card with the flame represents the passion that will guide us. And the third card with the bloom is our advice to keep growing. So let's get some cards. So the first card, seed, what we're ready to grow and manifest. Okay, guys. Oh, I got 3 cards. Nice. So, interesting. So these are the 3 cards we got for seed, flame, and bloom. Actually, it goes the other way. Seed, flame, and bloom. So for seed, what we're ready to grow and manifest, we have the 6 of Swords. Looking into the horizon and seeing ourselves there, seeing ourselves in our futures. Really working on the power of our minds to cultivate what we want to see happen. Really standing in the present, but looking forward to the future. So the seed that we're sowing is a seed of gratitude. It's a seed of the 7 of Swords, being in touch, in tune with our thoughts, in tune with our minds, in tune with the way we think, the thought processes that are going through our minds, and looking at the present and just giving gratitude for everything that we have in the present, but turning our backs on the past and looking towards the future and the light that is coming to us in the future, and the good things and all the insights and all the enlightenment that we will gain from the situations that we're going to go to. So the seed that we're planting is a seed of gratitude. Flame, the passion that will guide us. Oh, sorry, this was the 6 of Swords, not the 7 of Swords. But I knew it was the 6 of Swords. I just said 7 of Swords because we had the 7 of Swords here. The 6 of Swords is kind of like new beginnings, because I feel like the 6 represents new beginnings and enlightenment. So of course, that's why I talked about enlightenment and fresh perspective and seeing into the future with this 6 of Swords. The 7 of Swords represents the flame, the passion that will guide us. And it's interesting that we had the 6 for the seed and the 7 for the flame, because 7 comes after 6, as we all know. So it's kind of like a progression. So the flame, the passion that will guide us. I do feel like this is talking about being in touch with nature, being in touch with cooperating with our fellow creatures on this earth, and having a caring heart for where people are at, where animals are at, how we're treating each other, how we're living in harmony with the creatures around us, with the birds, with the trees, paying attention to recycling, paying attention to not creating too much of a footprint on this earth, so that when we leave this earth, it is better off than when we left it. Leaving less of a footprint or leaving no footprint at all. The flame, the passion, our passion needs to be, this passion that will guide us needs to be seeing the earth as someone that is working with us, as a partner. With the Seven of Swords, 7 is very organized and magical. Of course, all the numbers are magical. 7 is almost like, it's very organized. So I feel like we need to have an organized mind. Of course, this is the 7 of Swords, so we're talking about the mind and our thought processes. And as you see, this individual is caring for the earth and working with the crows. All the crows are carrying swords. I don't know if you can see that. They're all carrying swords here. They're all carrying swords in their hands. So it's about working with nature, working with Mother Earth. And of course, as we're celebrating Beltane, we're celebrating the earth being reborn, and the crops, you know, blessing the crops for the future when we go into our harvest festivals and harvest season. The last card we have is Bloom, our advice to keep growing. And we have the 4 of Pentacles. Hanging on to the things that matter in this life, hanging on to Mother Earth, again, doing our best to bless Mother Earth, to bless the creatures that we are living on this earth with. Bloom, our advice to keep growing, the 4 of Pentacles, allowing ourselves to feel stability as the planets are turning, as the stars are illuminating our sky, as the planets are moving around the solar system, as the animals are building their homes and collecting food and just living their daily lives, as we are hanging on to our lives. And you see this woman is hanging on to the tree with the 4 of Pentacles there. I do feel like there's a sense of belonging to where we are, learning to call where we live home, learning how to feel at peace on the earth, learning to feel a part of the earth, like we're just an extension of the earth, like we just came from the earth, and we are one with the earth and one with the nature and one with humanity, and just feeling a sense of just unity and harmony with the 4 of Pentacles. So Bloom, our advice to keep growing is just allow yourself to be grounded into Mother Earth. Allow yourself to find gratitude and hang on to those things that are important to you. And of course, the earth needs to be important to us because this is the only home we have, and we need to treat her properly. One of the things that I do now that I didn't do before was when I'm at work and I use a plastic cup to drink some water, instead of throwing the plastic cup in the garbage, I'll bring the plastic cup home with me so that I can put it in the recycling, because we don't really have any recycling bins at the hospital. So that, and I'll just try to bring home anything that I can recycle instead of throwing it out at the hospital. I'll try to bring it home with me. I'm trying to use less water. I'm practicing vegetarianism to cause less grief to the animals on this earth. But of course, that's not for everybody. But I do believe that these cards are really a good lesson to us about how to embrace the earth and how to be grateful for how things are changing during this May 1st Beltane celebration. So even if you're not a pagan and you don't usually practice this celebration, I hope it was helpful for you to kind of learn a little bit about it and to have fun coming with me to my altar and fixing up my altar. And remember to dance, remember to feel your body, feel your body's connection to the earth. I'm going to try to create a playlist for myself so I can have that build up, that climax, and that release during my dancing. And so we started off this Beltane video reading from the Sabbats Luland book, talking about dancing. And I think that's one of the rituals that you can do, is create a playlist for yourself. and dance and allow yourself to be brought up to a certain climax and then release all that energy through your dancing. It's very sexual. It's very potent energy, you know, that with that climax and then that release that has a lot of connection to fertility and sexuality. And I think that that's very much what Beltane is about as well. It's about sexuality, about attraction to people that we feel romantic love for, and attraction to the earth, and just feeling one with Mother Earth and the nature around us. So I hope this was a helpful video for you, or at least interesting, and I'm glad if you stuck through the whole thing with me. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Mo Moon, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.